maybe other developer team, but maybe any part of the world. Maybe you can put your applications into the in USA or Canada or Germany, and some testing team will test your APIs with the Swagger, with the really proper Swagger UI, and they can check it everything is properly working. Then after that, it is everything is working, then you can put it like to the your final release and deploy the your all production environments. That means it is important. Even you have a JUnit testing with your development code, and then you have a Postman testing that I will show you. That's why I already started here. So you see that Postman test, everything is properly working. You can call also the Postmans, and we can see that everything, the similar thing is also the API documents that we are looking for. So REST API documentations, we will discuss together everything is together one by one. So it's everything is perfect that we are looking for. So every path is there, the API docs. Then they can, if someone who is not using the Swagger UI, even though the API docs can help the other developer, web developer or other test developers, they will just look for the which parameter they see it, how the body, how the description, how the required parameter or non-required optional parameters, and also the response type, the status of the APIs response type. So everything is defined properly. This is the professional way that I said you need to build your REST APIs with proper documentations. So here, so if you see the applications, we have actuator in the endpoints. So it is application is all everything properly working. So as the endpoints, you can check the health conditions. That's your end health conditions, and then up application is up, all things is properly working. But we will do together, or someone who is not already ready to how it is prepared, just look for the previous screencast. I will already share all the information. That's all developments and all the deployment, all the configuration in the previous screencast. So, and let's now start the development. What we talk, how can we integrate the Swagger UI or Swagger documentation for your REST APIs. So let's have a start to developments. So that's the development part that we already discussed, and that's I already said you we have some same application with the different database migration tools. Into my previous screencast, you see the Liquid-based database migrations tools, and then I will integrate the same documentations, because if you saw the controller, still I have no control. I know no Swagger or Swagger UI integrations. There is nothing there. So that means I said I will start really very beginning of the projects, and then you can integrate one by one. How can you integrate those documentations? Because there is no Swagger anymore. So here we will start together. How can you integrate even the Liquid-based, and even I have a Flyway, same example. How can you integrate the Flyway-based database migrations, and then also the how can you integrate the same application, the same URL or more functionality with the controller, with the Swagger UI for the proper documentations. But even I have some Java docs documentations into here, implementations. You can write down also Java docs here. So proper way we will discuss together how can we start those things development. So let's have a start this application, the very beginning application to configure, and then the Swagger UI. How can you configure? How can you professionally tag it? How can you manage the dependency in the Swagger UI into your Spring Boot applications? So maybe that everybody knows, understand how it is works. That means Swagger, that is the application, the YAML files that we already discussed, and how can you plot, how can server port, the registration URL, database connectivity. But those are new. I already said, just follow the screencast. How I start the development. That's I said this is really professional structure way how we start the development. So I have all the model definitions, what with the domain models definitions, and also I have some repository. This is all the repository definition, and this is the service interface definitions. This is the interface definition, and then we have an implementation packet packages of those interfaces. So all the proper way how the enterprise level application or professional application could be built or should be built or must be built based on that the structures. So I have utility functionalities we will show together, and then I have some that because this application need to be deployed with the different system like the standalone jar file based Docker Compose based deployment with the Flyway database migration tool that we already discussed in the previous screencast. And so you see all the data migration is really proper way to handle. So for the Swagger integration, that is everything is there. So we need this very simple, very straightforward. Then you need the pom.xml file. You need just like these two URL, like this Swagger UI. That's we need to be visualized. This with use the Swagger URI to present. We can also take the latest version also. And then we need to Swagger documents. This is the documents, and then this is the Swagger UI dependency, and that's all. Everything is working. The Spring Boot handle all things together, so all the configurations. So you need to first need to inject these two dependency into your pom.xml file. When you inject these two dependency, then you can start the Swagger configurations. The configuration is here, so it is most important configurations. So we see the configurations, and then after the configuration is that I have logger information. We define some tags, some important tags. So how it is done, because is everything done by the bean. The beans, those who are here new into the Spring Boot developer, please follow my previous screencast. I already discussed all the respective annotations and its functionalities with each of the annotations. So as you see, I return the docket, and then the annotation. This is the Swagger 2 UI and selectors, and you can also pass the host. I will show you later part of the screencast how can you set dynamically set this the host and port based from these files. You can dynamically inject those values with the value annotations, and it's professionally handled. I will show you later, but I will show you start the very beginning how the basic stuff is here. So then with APIs, we see our package path, the default package. We put it here, default package, APIs, and the path, the syntax of the regex regular expression for our controller paths. I mean your endpoint definition path. If I go to the endpoint definitions, you see the two endpoints. We have a endpoint definitions like the APIs, user registrations. That's you already show here the definition exactly what we expected. So we see the APIs, user registration, and all the properly handle those things. So we see that those things properly handled. So that means, and then we have, so that means we define so Swagger UI here. So we define the path, the expression. This is the tag information. The tag means we just how we define it. If you have you have 10 controllers, that means you clearly define you have 10 tags. Really is a list of tags. That means this is the user registration tag, user role tag, user profile tags. Maybe that's the reason, because we put it here the 2 controller. I have need additional controller because we need 3 models. We have 3 models here, so we need 3 controllers or domain models to fit the requirements that from the end clients. That's I mean. So we create the tags. Tags is based on the tags. This is the levels of user registration service that we already show here. The user registration service. You see that this is the user registration service. That's how we have it. And this is the tags, and this is the description of the tags. So we define really, we write down the very simple functions. How can create the tags? And just create tag functions. You see the create tag. It has a name. It has a the tag. It has a name. It has descriptions. We put it at the tag is the public static final variables. So we put it here, these variables, and the tag and the descriptions, and then put it the description of the variables. So we can define or maybe you can build the enum set somewhere and define those enum set into into the your tag libraries. Maybe there's a lot of possibility. So you define all the variables into the enum sets and call these enums to build your tag libraries. This is a possibility how we program